Okay, so the liver produces bile, which is stored and then released from the gallbladder. So today we will also do the histology of gallbladder. Now, gallbladder is a distensible muscular sac which is attached to the visceral surface of the liver. The chief function of the gallbladder are concentration and storage of bile. Now, maximum storage capacity of gallbladder is 50 ml. The wall of the gallbladder consists of three coats, namely mucosa, submucosa, mucosa muscularis externa, and serosa or adventitia. Now, mucosa, it consists of epithelium and lamina propria. So, there is no muscularis mucosae in the gallbladder. Now, this mucosa is thrown into folds. You can see here that this is the epithelium, columnar epithelium. It is lined by columnar epithelium, and this is the lamina propria. Now, mucosa is thrown into folds. These are the mucosal folds, and these are particularly prominent in the empty gallbladder. The lining epithelium is of simple columnar variety. The tall columnar cells of this epithelium exhibits features of absorptive cells. Now, what are the features of absorptive cells? So, the special features of the epithelium of the mucosa is that the cells have got the apical surface of the cells have got microvilli in order to increase the surface area for reabsorption, and there are junctional complexes which bind the apical parts of adjacent cells with each other tightly to create an impermeable barrier between the gallbladder lumen and the intercellular compartment. There are numerous mitochondria because ion transportation is occurring here, and that needs energy. So, lateral walls of adjacent cells also show interdigitations, and the basolateral plasma membrane of these cells lodges numerous sodium pumps. In lamina propria, loose connective tissue is present which is rich in collagen and elastic fibers. Also, fenestrated capillaries are present, venules, lymphocytes, and plasma cells. Now, there are no glands in the mucosa of the gallbladder except at the neck region where they produce mucus. Although I have told you that there are no glands in the mucosa of the gallbladder, but in gallbladder, in mucosal folds are found diverticula or crypts that resemble glands, but they are not the glands. They are the deep indentations in the mucosa. In cross section, the diverticula or crypts in the lamina propria resemble tubular glands. However, there are no glands. These are just the indented part of the mucosa of the folds, mucosal folds in the lamina propria. You can see here, these are the diverticula or crypts. They appear like glands, but these are not glands. These are only the indented part of the epithelial folds. So, muscularis mucosae is absent, and also the submucosa. Now, this is the mucosa, epithelium, lamina propria, and then this is the muscularis externa, and then serosa or adventitia. So, no muscularis mucosae and no submucosa present in the gallbladder. So, last two layers of the gallbladder wall is the muscularis externa. Here you can see the muscularis externa. This is the mucosa, then muscularis externa, and then serosa or adventitia. So, muscularis externa contains the bundles of randomly oriented smooth muscle fibers that do not show distinct layers, and this layer have got abundant elastic fibers in them. The last layer is the adventitia or serosa, where the gallbladder is covered by the peritoneum. It has got serosa as an outer layer, and where the gallbladder is not covered by the peritoneum, the outer layer is adventitia. And you know the difference between adventitia and serosa, that in serosa a layer of mesothelial cells is added outer to the connective tissue. Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will discuss the histology of pancreas. Pancreas is an important endocrine as well as exocrine gland which is associated with the GIT. It secretes various hormones and enzymes which help in the digestion of various nutrients in the small intestine and the carbohydrate metabolism. Now pancreas is a mixed endocrine and exocrine gland. The exocrine part of the pancreas, this is the exocrine part of the pancreas, you can see here in the form of pancreatic acini, serous acini, in the form of serous acini. These are also known as pancreatic acini. These acini, the cells of these pancreatic acini, they secrete various enzymes which help in digestion of nutrients in the small intestine. Now this is the endocrine part of the pancreas which is known as pancreatic islets or islets of Langerhans, which are interspread in between the exocrine part. Now the endocrine part of the pancreas consists of small clusters of cells known as islets of Langerhans, and by weight the endocrine pancreas makes only about 1 to 2% of the pancreatic mass. The rest of the pancreas, it consists of exocrine part. A thin connective tissue capsule covers the pancreas and it sends fibrous septa inside the organ to divide it into smaller portions known as lobules. So these are the fibrous septa which contain the blood vessels, the ducts and the nerves, and the smaller portions, these are known as lobules. Here you can see the lobules, and in lobules lie the parenchyma and the stroma. So the exocrine pancreas is actually pure serous gland of compound acinar variety. You can see that the duct, this is the duct and this is dividing, and then at the end are the secretory pieces which are in the form of acini. So compound acinar gland, this is a compound acinar gland, and the secretory units of exocrine pancreas consist of serous acini, each of which is made up of 40 to 50 pyramidal serous cells enclosing a central cavity. So this is a central cavity and 40 to 50 cells are there in a serous acini. So on light microscope shows that each serous cell has a spherical nucleus. I will show it the histological picture also. It has got a spherical nucleus, well developed Golgi apparatus which is not shown here but it is present in the supranuclear region, and the basal region of the cell contains the large amount of rough endoplasmic reticulum and takes up basic stain. You can see here that these are the pyramidal cells lining the serous acini, and this is the lumen, and you can see here the ducts are dividing, branching. This is the duct which is branching into two, and at the end two secretory end pieces are present, and I have told you that secretory end pieces are in the form of acini. So the pancreas is a compound acinar gland, and lining the acinar are the serous cells. The characteristics of serous cell, you can see here, this is a serous cell. It has got a spherical nucleus which is lying in the basal parts of the cells, and a well developed Golgi apparatus which is present in the supranuclear region. On histological section you can't see the Golgi apparatus because it is not stained by the HNE stain, and the basal parts of the cells, they are stained basophilic. I will show you in the histological section, but because of the presence of ribosomes, free and attached ribosomes to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. In the apical part of these serous acini, you can see the zymogen granules, the secretory granules also known as zymogen granules, which contain the enzymes, pancreatic enzymes. The zymogen granules of the acinar cells of the pancreatic acini, they contain a number of digestive enzymes. So these are the zymogen granules. You can see they are in the apical surfaces of the serous cells of the pancreatic acini, stained with eosinophilic stain. These are the zymogen granules, and they contain a large number of digestive enzymes which are released into the acinar lumen, from where they pass into the ducts of the pancreas and finally are delivered to the duodenum as the pancreatic juice. The enzymes produced by the pancreas include the alpha amylase, proteases, lipases and nucleases. The secretion of pancreas is regulated mainly by two hormones, secretin and cholecystokinin, both of which are produced by the endocrine cells of the small intestine. Now the ducts of the exocrine pancreas consists of intercalated ducts, intralobular ducts, then interlobular ducts and the main excretory duct. Each intercalated duct shown here, this is the intercalated duct which begins within the center of the acinus. In the histological sections, the portions of intercalated duct extends into the acini are seen as pale staining low cuboidal cells. Pale staining low cuboidal cells within the serous acini. These cells are known as centroacinar cell, and they constitute a distinguishing histological feature of the pancreas. The intercalated ducts are short. Intercalated ducts are short and their proximal segments are also lined up by pale yellow cuboidal epithelial cells. Several intercalated ducts, they join and they form each other, join to each other to form larger intralobular ducts, which converge to form the interlobular ducts and then the main excretory duct. Both the intralobular and interlobular ducts are lined by simple low columnar epithelium. The interlobular ducts unite to form the main pancreatic duct, which is lined by the stratified columnar epithelium. So here you can see that these are the intercalated ducts which are arising within the serous acini, in the center of the acini, and it is extending out, and then various intercalated ducts, they join to form the intralobular ducts, and then intralobular ducts join to form the interlobular and then the main pancreatic duct. Now in this slide you can see again the centroacinar cells which are arising within the center of the acinus, low cuboidal cells, and then they join the intercalated duct, and various intercalated ducts, they join to form the intralobular ducts, and these cells are known as centroacinar cells. Again you can see here the centroacinar cells which are arising within the center of the acinus and continuous with the cells of the intercalated ducts. The endocrine part of the pancreas consists of small spherical clusters of cells called the islets of Langerhans or pancreatic islets. These islets range from 100 to 200 micrometer in diameter and consist of roughly spherical or polyhedral cells. You can see in this histological section the pancreatic islet, which is spherical body and consisting of roughly spherical or polyhedral cells. The islets of Langerhans are scattered irregularly among the serous acini of the pancreas and are most numerous in the tail part of the organ. The cells of the pancreatic islet takes a much lighter stain than those of the pancreatic acini. You can see here the cells of the pancreatic acini stain darker, while the cells of the pancreatic acini, they have lighter stain. Therefore, in an ordinary H&E stained section of pancreas, the islets of Langerhans can be easily distinguished because they appear as isolated clusters of light staining cells scattered among the dark staining pancreatic acini, which constitute the main bulk of the pancreatic tissue. Now, a single reticular reticular fiber layer, a very thin layer of reticular fiber separates the pancreatic islets from the exocrine part of the pancreas, and separating it from the surrounding exocrine pancreatic tissue. The islet cells are arranged in short irregular cords separated from each other by fenestrated capillaries. Now, in an ordinary H&E section, the cells of the pancreatic islets stain lightly eosinophilic and no cytoplasmic granules can be distinguished. So you can see the light staining of the cytoplasm, and no cytoplasmic granules can be distinguished, and interspread in between these cells are the fenestrated capillaries. So the cytoplasmic granules can be seen by special stains or by electron microscopic examination. So depending upon the morphology and size of distribution of the cytoplasmic granules, the pancreatic islet cells are classified into 4 types. So you can see here is also a special stain which is staining the granules in the cytoplasm of these cells.